my fellow challenge lovers, welcome to The Challenge Historian, where we dive deep into all things MTV's The Challenge, past, present, or future. If it's happening in the challenge universe, then we are here to document it. I am your host and dedicated challenge historian, Jacob Hullabaugh. Thank you so very much for being here with us today on the first ever of the Tuesday Review Preview Micro Podcast. Going to be going all season long of Spies, Lies, and Allies, doing these little micro pods every Tuesday evening to review everything that happened the last week, preview what's to come this coming week, and just keep you up to date because there's a lot going on in the challenge world outside of just the 90 minutes that the show airs every Wednesday night. So we're here to keep you up to speed. Now, today's podcast will be a touch longer than all of the ones in the future because we're going to explain kind of what's going on with these podcasts to start with. So in the future, these are going to be 5 to 7 minutes kind of long at best is what we're going for. Today's might be closer to that 10-minute mark because we're going to talk right now about what the purpose of this podcast even is. So let's get into that. The purpose of this podcast, they're going to be every Tuesday, the whole season long. And the reason for it was because, I'm a super fan of this show. I love every single thing about the challenge universe, all the people in it, everything about it. And I know there's a lot of you out there that might be listening to this who also are super fans of this show, but also have a lot going on in your lives. It's kind of hard to be a super fan of the challenge with as much content that's coming out these days, from the aftermath shows to the different clips that are coming out to their YouTube channel, the social channels, all the players' social channels, all the Instagram lives. There's so much content coming out that is related to the actual shows that occur every Wednesday night that there's just too much to keep track of for a lot of folks out there. So the goal of this podcast, the reason it is even going to exist, is because I want to be the super fan for you. If you're one of those people who loves this show, but can't, find the time in your incredibly busy schedules and busy lives to keep up with every single thing that's happening, that's what I'm here for. I've got you. I'm going to keep you up to date. I'm going to make sure that, hey, if you miss an episode of Aftermath, if you miss that Instagram live, if you miss some clip that was put out that's impacting the storyline and what we know or don't know going into the next episode, that's what this is going to be here for. That's what the purpose of this show is going to be, to keep you up to date on anything from when an episode ends Wednesday night to the next one starts the following Wednesday. A lot could happen in those 7 days that could affect the storylines of the show. I'm going to be here to try to make sure that you're caught up on all of that going into the next show. So that's the purpose. That's kind of the impetus of where this came about. The layout, the format of these shows is going to be like this. They're always going to start with a 90-second review of everything that happened in the previous episode. An even faster version, if you will, of the Cliff Notes we do during our regular Wednesday night, Thursday morning full review podcast. We're just going to go 90 seconds. Here's exactly what happened. Get you refreshed, get you caught back up. Then we will catch you up on everything that happened between that episode and this new one potentially airing. Any news that broke from outside the show, anything that went down on Aftermath, anything that went down on any Instagram lives that comes out that's newsworthy, and not so much necessarily newsworthy to the greater challenge universe, but newsworthy as related to the show we are currently watching. So for this season, Spies, Lies, and Allies, if it actually affects what we're seeing, the story we're being told of this season, that's what we want to catch you up on. And then finally, we're going to end the episode with about a 60 to 90 second preview of the new episode that will be coming out the next night. Kind of go back over or add to some of those predictions from the previous week's recap podcast and just kind of sign out. So we're going to do a review. We're going to get you caught up. We're going to do a preview. It's a micro pod, 5, 7, maybe maximum 10 minutes if it ever goes that long outside of this one where we're explaining it all. I'm not doing the best job I could be doing. So we're going to get there. I'm long-winded, but we're going to try our best. Make these real short micropods, get you caught up, get you ready for the next episode. All right? So before we actually dive into this one, there is one disclaimer really that comes with all of this that I've got to say. As a huge fan of the challenge, I adore all of this. I adore all of the content they're putting out. I do not want this to necessarily be a substitute for you watching that content, and in particular, watching Aftermath, the challenge Aftermath. I say this as someone who normally strongly dislikes after shows for just the whole concept of an after show for television. This one works. I didn't always love some of the iterations they've tried over the years, but with Double Agents and then into All Stars, I was enjoying what I was watching with Aftermath, and now that they're able to get some of the people in a studio together, the first episode was awesome. I love it. You should be watching the Challenge Aftermath. It definitely affects what's going on. We're learning a lot from them. They're basically mini reunion shows about each single episode. They're amazing. Devin Simone, the host of it, does a wonderful, wonderful job. She is amazing as well. So you should be watching those. But if you're not able to, if you can't keep up with all of it, that's why this show's here. But just, I want to put the disclaimer out that I'm a huge promoter of that particular after show, as well as all the other content. But there's a lot of it, so that's why we're here. That's why we exist. And on that note, really quick, do want to give a special shout out to the Redditors React podcast with Levi and George. Our buddies over across the pond, as they just had a podcast drop yesterday with a big, long interview with that Devin Simone from the Aftermath, from previous Challenge and Real World fame and all of that. And it was absolutely amazing. And they kind of dug into, the creation of Aftermath, the evolution of it, the potential for her to maybe host those reunion shows, which I, as much as those two hosts, were huge fans and would like to see that happen this season. Please, finally. So go check out that Redditors React podcast if you want to listen to Devin explain all of that about Aftermath, all of that about her challenge career. It was a wonderful interview. That podcast is an awesome podcast. You should be checking it out if you're not already. So we've got the disclaimer out of the way. We've got, kind of what this podcast is going to be. So with that, let's actually launch into this week's version of our review preview podcast, looking at episode 1 into episode 2. All right, so here we go. We're going to start off with a 90-second or less, potentially, review of everything that happened on that first episode that we watched last week to get you caught up, refreshed, and then we'll dive into everything that's happened between episodes. So 90 seconds on the clock. Let's see if I can do this first time trying. Let's see if I can actually do this. 90 seconds. Here we go. Press and start right now. So 17 American agents enter the challenge house, one of the best challenge houses we've ever seen. They party, they hang out. Eventually, they're sent to a beach to wait. 17 global agents then enter the same house. Notice others have been there. They're confused, but eventually they end up being told by TJ to go to that very same beach. A daily challenge ensues where the global folks run out to the beach, pick a partner of their choosing, and then do the challenge with them. Anissa and Logan win the very first one, becoming the agency, aka the power couple, tribunal, whatever, the ones with the power. The 15 vets then back at the house realize they are outnumbered 15-19 by the rookies and decide to band together to target not just rookies, but the survivor rookies specifically. Michaela, survivor rookie herself, is outed for having this list of people to target. She is ultimately confronted and thrown under the bus by other survivor US people. Her and her partner Renan get voted into elimination by the house. At that elimination, TJ reveals the agency, aka Anissa and Logan, will not just be picking another team to face off, but rather they are going to pick 2 individuals from any team they want, any 2 people to go into the elimination. They pick Corey L. and Michelle. In that elimination, Corey L. dominates. He leads he and Michelle to victory. Renan and Michaela, they're going home. Corey L., Michelle, first victories in an elimination. And we find out, same as double agents, the winners get to either stay together, go back with their old partners, or pick any non-agency person to be partnered with. Corey L. picks Tori. Michelle picks Devin. Kells now gets put with Tracy. Emmy is now put with Ed, who replaced Nam, who had to leave for unknown reasons. And that is where the episode ends. Boom. 95 seconds. We almost did it. We were so close. We're going to get it next time, but I'm kind of impressed. 95 seconds. Man, really nailed it. All right, so that's everything that happened on the last episode. Now let's talk about what has happened between last episode airing and today. Alrighty, so after that episode ended, all the way up to today, let's get you caught up on other things that have been happening in the Challenge universe related to the show. So first things first, Aftermath. Again, you should be watching this. It's an amazing show. Devin does a great job. They've got cast in studio this time. But if you missed it, here's what you missed. And you missed kind of a lot. Again, this show is going to be important. So it's definitely one. It's on YouTube. It's not on MTV proper, but you can watch it anytime on YouTube after the show. The highlights from this episode. First one, we find out the votes are going to be declassified. The votes from that episode are in secret on the episode. We don't know who voted for few. They are revealed on Aftermath. In this one, we find out every single person in the house voted for Michaela and Renan, except for the 2 of them themselves, who, by the way, couldn't even vote for the same person, so they were never on the same page. And a quick note, this Aftermath is filmed way after the actual show takes place, so these votes are secret in person in the house, what we're watching in the season, but they're finding out about them later and can discuss and cause drama on Aftermath that way. We also find out during the episode that Amanda isn't feeling Fessy like that. And she, again, her words, not mine, so don't shoot the messenger, is just politicking. She has the absolute quote of the episode when she then points to Nani and then herself and says, look, this is love, Nani. This is strategy as herself. So incredible stuff. She also said, quote, I was worried about hooking up with Fessy because of the Nelson thing. And then I was like, fuck it, which she's the best. I'm so glad Amanda's back on the show. It's so great. And then final thing is that we also find out that Amanda was the one that told Emmy that she was getting voted in unless she had something to kind of get someone else in hot water, which is why the list even came up in the first place. Much different than the edit of the show led on. Amanda kind of the one maestro behind all of that. So an interesting little thing came out there. They were all stunned by it. Michaela had no idea. So that's kind of some of the stuff you missed on Aftermath that might relate to the show elsewhere. In the challenge world, nearly all of the challengers are now doing Instagram lives right after the episode. Makes total sense. If you got a favorite player in the game, definitely check their Instagram. They're probably doing a live right after the episode. Might be worth checking out. So check those. But the one this week that made the most waves was between Ashley, Amanda, and Michelle. A three-way conversation on Instagram Live. A couple things that came out of it. First one, expect Michelle to get close. Just as just my personal one, it didn't actually come out on it, other than just the fact the three of them were doing it together and seemed very, chummy pals. So expect Michelle to probably get close with these two over the season, because it seems like postseason they're very much kind of a little trio, if you will. Maybe she's the new Lavender Lady. Who knows? But that's just kind of a prediction of mine, just from seeing those three together on Instagram Live for a very long time together. Other newsworthy items from it, Amanda sticks to her story of humping and dumping with Fessy, although it seems like she maybe is still humping and dumping him to this day. She was just a couple weeks ago at his big boxing debut. So who knows? But they're not together, but they might still be together occasionally for fun. Michelle also reveals that Kells was actually the one who started the initial drama between her and Michaela, that told Michaela and Michelle, kind of was the intermediary, telling that they were each targeting each other a little, and kind of stirred that up. So if there's any tension between Kells and Michelle in future episodes, there's a chance that we just kind of missed where that is starting from. And then finally, Michelle also claimed that it was actually going to be Jay and Natalie on this season instead of Tommy and Michaela, but they had to pull out last minute for some unknown reason, and that led to Tommy and Michaela joining the cast days before they left to film, which is a bold thing to say. I don't believe Jay or Natalie has backed this claim up necessarily, but I believe it probably is very much true, because with the 15-19 split, didn't make a total sense of like more rookies. It seemed kind of arbitrary, and if it would have been Jay and Natalie instead of Tommy and Michaela, that would have been 17-17 even across the board, which would have made sense and kind of lined up with previous seasons. So I believe that's probably true. Finally, the last thing that came out, this outside the Instagram, just other main thing to talk about that has kind of come to light across a lot of the Instagram lives, a lot of different spoiler stuff that I try to avoid, but this one I did try to look into just a bit because I was very, very interested in it, and it affects the season in a big way. So, and that was the COVID shutdown. It came out during filming that there was a shutdown. We didn't really know when that was during the filming, how long it lasted, anything like that. It's now come out that that COVID shutdown happened between the first daily challenge and the first elimination. So literally the middle of the episode we just watched, that first episode, a couple days into filming, they had a shutdown. They had to go quarantine for 10 days. They originally quarantined for 14 before they started filming. Then they had a positive test, someone, cast, crew, we don't know. They had to shut down for 10 more days. And again, between the daily and the elimination. And this had three known impacts that are worth mentioning. First one, during that Instagram Live again with Amanda, Ashley, and Michelle, she mentions that she really disliked Berna because during this shutdown that she didn't think she was following all of the protocols, which it should be mentioned again. Amanda, a nurse during the pandemic, good chance, deservingly sensitive about, following all this stuff, taking this as seriously as possible as we should be. So that's why if you start to see some beef between Berna and Amanda, it may start it on this quarantine and not actually on the part of the show that we're going to see. Second thing, Nam's departure seems to have been caused by this shutdown. It was kind of mysterious. They didn't say when he actually left, why he left. There was some speculation. I even speculated on my podcast that he got COVID. It sounds like, well, we don't know who it was. It doesn't sound like it was Nam that got COVID. It sounded like because of that extra 10 days, it pushed all of the schedule back, and Nam had a scheduling conflict that if he would have made it far in the season, he was going to have to leave for this other commitment that he couldn't get out of. And so that extra 10 days pushed it to where he was no longer going to be able to do both. He had to leave the show. Super duper bummer. Gosh, we love Nam. I'm so sad he had to leave, but that is what it is. And then the third thing and final thing, the most important probably for the whole season story arc, is that the vets use that 10 days to get their plan fully in place. They weren't quite as tight-knit on who to go for in that first elimination, if they were working together or anything like that. And they really used that time to come together and target the Survivor folks and target Michaela. So that quarantine impacted the season in a big way. And now we know all of those ways. So that is all the things that I'm at least aware of that came out in the last 6.5 days or so that affect this season and affect this next episode that we're going to see. So that is that. Let's wrap it up then with a quick 30 to 60 second little preview of the next episode with some predictions. All right, so finally, the last thing, quick preview of the next episode. 3 predictions for you going into next episode. Now we got a clip. They keep putting out clips of, the new daily challenge. Here's the first 3 minutes of the episode. I personally don't love that stuff. I want to sit down and watch the whole thing first time through Wednesday night. So I'm probably rarely going to touch on that. The only thing I'll say about those clips is that I did see the beginning of one of them, and we get the challenge right away. That's been heavily featured in the trailer, where someone's in a helicopter throwing money down to someone in a car, and then they have to run, and there's a big explosion behind them. So all of that was in the trailer, heavily in the trailer. We're going to get to see this week. Looks fun. Looks cool. 3 predictions going into next episode, specifically for next episode, these predictions. Number 1, 4 rookies will go against each other in the elimination again. Again, personal prediction, no spoilers here. Just that's what I think. I think these vets are going to really grab the game by its neck, and 4 more rookies are going into the elimination again. I also think, prediction number 2, the winners of that elimination will pick Tori and Fessy as their partners. So 4 rookies, 2 of them will win, and I think those 2 are going to pick Tori and Fessy to infiltrate. And third and final prediction, not really going out on a limb with this one, but I've just got a feeling someone's going to cry this episode. So I wanted to make sure to get one of these predictions right. I feel really good about this last one. So someone will cry. Those are my predictions. Those are the preview. That's the review. That's everything for this episode. I said 5 to 7 minutes. 10 to 12 maybe is a better ballpark estimate for these review previews. I know this one's longer than that even, but if you took out that first part where we explain what all of this is about, we're looking at maybe 10 to 12 minutes. So maybe that'll be our goal. Maybe we'll call it 15, and then we can always fall underneath that. We'll see how it goes. But hopefully this got you caught back up. This got you thinking back about the show, remembering everything you saw last week. We're looking forward to another episode. We're looking forward, as heartbreaking as we are that Nam left, we're looking forward to seeing Ed and Ed's debut. Very excited for Ed. And yeah, we're just very much looking forward to next week's, tomorrow night's episode, literally about 22 hours from right now at time of taping. So very, very excited. Check out Spies, Lies, and Allies tomorrow night. Check out Aftermath right on YouTube right afterwards. Check out your favorite player's Instagram live afterwards, all that stuff. But if you miss any of it or you want to talk more about it, check out the Challenge Historian podcast. Make sure to follow or subscribe so you're getting all of these, the recaps early Thursday morning, the review previews Tuesday afternoon, evening time. You're getting them right in your feed. You're not missing an episode. You're staying up to date, and you're staying in love with the challenge. With that, love all of you. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow night.